under one roof. However, behind the happy and romantic appearance that everyone saw, this couple harbored a dark secret that no one around them knew about. It turned out the feelings Li Yang had for Zhao Wei weren't just ordinary like what he displayed outwardly. In reality, in his mind existed an incomprehensible obsession, a kind of sick and twisted emotion. Li Yang seemed to not just want to love Zhao Wei, but he also had an intense desire to completely control every aspect of her life. But this wasn't the kind of light, normal jealousy we commonly see in young couples. This was something completely different, much heavier, and far more worrying. Li Yang wanted to know exactly who Zhao Wei was meeting, where she went after what time she got home. He constantly called to check, constantly asking about every small detail of her day. This boyfriend's obsession and desire for control seemed somewhat excessive and abnormal, but for Zhao Wei at that time, her English proficiency wasn't really good yet, while her parents and family were far away, thousands of miles distant. In such circumstances of being away from home and lonely, the sense of security, the thoughtful care, and having someone always by her side that Li Yang provided was truly immense and important for a young woman like Zhao Wei. Looking from Zhao Wei's perspective and circumstances at that time, although her boyfriend's obsession and control were somewhat severe and sometimes made her feel suffocated, Li Yang was still the only person she could truly rely on and trust in the country. That's why, even if she wanted to, she couldn't easily leave him. And so, they continued to maintain this shaky, contradictory yet still solid relationship until October 9th, 2002. It was on that day that all communication with Zhao Wei was completely cut off. Actually, before that, Zhao Wei and her close friend group had arranged to have lunch together right after morning classes ended. This was a plan made in advance, and she had confirmed she would attend. But at the agreed time, Zhao Wei didn't appear at the location the group had agreed upon. At first, her friends thought maybe she was just running a bit late for some reason, so they tried calling her. However, Zhao Wei didn't answer at all. Her phone kept ringing, but no one answered. The friend group started to wonder, but still tried to think positively. They speculated that perhaps after class, the professor had called Zhao Wei back to discuss homework or talk about grades, or maybe she was busy handling some issue at school. With that thinking, the group finally decided to go to lunch without Zhao Wei's participation. Until that point, none of them thought this was a big deal or that anything worrying was happening, but 3 days passed and they still couldn't contact Zhao Wei at all. She also didn't appear at school during that entire time. This prolonged silence began to make her friends truly worried. Finally, on the 4th day since last contact with Zhao Wei, her friend group decided to take official action. An official missing person report about Zhao Wei was filed with local police. Immediately after receiving the report, police began investigating according to standard procedure. The first person they needed to find and take a statement from was Zhao Wei's boyfriend who was living with her, Li Yang. When investigators came to meet him and began asking about the missing girlfriend, Li Yang's reaction made them pay attention. At this point, Li Yang answered extremely calmly, his tone showing no disturbance. "Well, actually, my girlfriend and I had a pretty big fight. After that, in anger, she left. Since then, I haven't received any messages or calls from her either. I really don't know where she went after leaving." On the surface, this explanation seemed reasonable and could happen, but even though they had fought and his girlfriend had left in anger, now that she had completely disappeared for many days straight, Li Yang seemed too calm, even indifferent. Additionally, according to what friends recounted, the very day after Zhao Wei went missing, that is, when everyone wasn't yet seriously worried, Li Yang had proactively told several people that his girlfriend was currently out somewhere and seemed to have disappeared. What was strange and noteworthy here was that until that point, most people in the friend group hadn't really thought about the possibility of a serious disappearance, but Li Yang alone had already definitively stated his girlfriend was missing, as if he knew something beforehand. And what was even more contradictory was that when the official missing person report was filed and police began investigating, Li Yang suddenly appeared quite nonchalant, which was very suspicious. However, even though investigators tried to investigate in every possible direction, They still couldn't find any concrete evidence that could prove Li Yang had done anything to Zhao Wei. Not only that, they also had absolutely no clues strong enough to pursue in order to find information about Zhao Wei's whereabouts or location. The case seemed to fall into a complete deadlock. Time just passed by hopelessly and helplessly. About 10 days after the last time anyone contacted Zhao Wei, on October 20th, a horrifying discovery. The location was about a 10-minute drive from the school, near a lake area called Stave Lake, where a travel suitcase had been unexpectedly discovered in very strange circumstances. That afternoon, a young couple was walking near the lake area in the forest when they suddenly smelled a very strange foul odor coming from somewhere near the lake. Curious and wanting to see the source of this smell, they decided to follow the scent. Step by step, going deeper, they finally discovered an old gray travel suitcase that looked like it had been used for years, placed unnaturally there. When they approached closer to check, they noticed inside the suitcase was a thick, rolled-up blanket. At first, this couple thought this was simply an old piece of luggage that someone had thrown away or forgotten here. But the foul smell coming from inside this suitcase was really not normal at all. A feeling of unease gradually crept into their minds. When they bent down and looked through the gap between the rolled-up layers of blanket, they suddenly saw something strange showing from inside. When they focused to look more carefully, they discovered it was human skin. Both people were immediately severely shocked by this horrifying scene. They hurriedly retreated and immediately called the police. Within less than half an hour, police and the forensic team were at the scene. When investigators carefully opened the suitcase to check, the scene inside made even experienced people like them shudder. Inside that cramped suitcase was the body of a young woman, rolled up in layers of blankets. Although the body had undergone considerable decomposition, through examining personal items collected next to the body, and especially through detailed DNA identification, the victim's identity was quickly confirmed. It was Zhao Wei. After conducting a meticulous autopsy, forensic experts determined the direct cause of Zhao Wei's death was strangulation. After discovering the body, police immediately focused on boyfriend Li Yang and began considering him as the main suspect. The reason they suspected him was really very simple and clear. First, Li Yang was the last known person to have seen Zhao Wei alive, moreover. Although the girlfriend living with him hadn't come home for a full 10 days, with no news, Li Yang didn't proactively go to authorities to report this disappearance. Instead, now he was even actively going everywhere telling mutual friends that Zhao Wei had had a big argument with him. Then in anger, she decided to pack her bags and fly back to China. But when investigators checked travel records and financial transactions, they discovered Zhao Wei had no airline ticket transactions whatsoever in recent times. Nor was there any record showing her passport had been used to exit Canada.
My name is
Everything
Naga.
Li Yang had told people was completely false. There was another strange and suspicious point. Several days right after he disappeared, Li Yang also suddenly stopped coming to school, continuously skipping without clear reason,
Thank you,
cutting
Chief.
off all contact with all
My
friends
name
and
is
acquaintances around him. And then
My
Li
name
Yang
is
himself
Jane.
completely disappeared without leaving any trace. At this level,
Kain
with all
tayo.
these abnormal signs piling up, it was really impossible not to suspect Li Yang anymore. The psychological and behavioral evidence was already too clear and strong enough. Now, what police needed was just to find concrete physical
Bye,
evidence to
Chef.
officially charge him. They prepared an arrest warrant and official interrogation. But the big problem here was everything was too late. Li Yang had left Canada long ago.
Kain. Mainit.
The noteworthy detail is that right on October 20th, exactly the day Zhao Wei's body was discovered, Li Yang had asked some friends for help arranging to escape Canada quickly. Everything happened as if he had planned it carefully in advance. His luggage had been neatly packed and ready beforehand. Even his passport had been arranged to be newly
Hello,
issued or
Lolet.
renewed in time.
Hi, Lolet.
Everything showed this wasn't a sudden or hasty decision, and the destination Li Yang was heading to was his homeland, China. Canadian police immediately contacted Interpol to request cooperation in pursuit. But the big problem was that at that time, there was no extradition treaty between Canada and China. This meant that once Li Yang returned to China, Canadian police had no way to force him back to stand trial. Canada repeatedly sent cooperation requests to the Chinese government, but the answer was always the same. Li Yang is a Chinese citizen. We will handle it according to Chinese law. With this stance, the case ultimately fell into an international
Lugaw.
legal gray area, where no side could fully exercise authority. The situation remained that way until about a month after the body was discovered. On November 30th, 2002, the case suddenly took a major turn. Zhang Hao, Li Yang's roommate and also his cousin, proactively came forward to Canadian police and gave a shocking confession. According to Zhang Hao's testimony, on the late night of October 9th, exactly the night Zhao Wei went missing, Li Yang had called him in an extremely panicked state. Li Yang's voice trembled. "I killed my girlfriend. You have to help me." At first, Zhang Hao thought this was a joke, or Li Yang was lying too shocked and unable to believe it. But when he went directly to Li Yang's place, he saw Zhao Wei's actual body lying right in the room she had died from strangulation. In this shock, Zhang Hao stood frozen, unable to move. Li Yang looked straight at him and said, "If you don't help me, you're finished too. You've seen the body with your own eyes. The police will consider you an accomplice, so you have to help me." It was both a threat and a desperate plea. Zhang Hao finally couldn't withstand the pressure and participated in hiding the body. The two of them together removed Zhao Wei's clothes, stuffed the body into the travel suitcase, then carried it to dump near Stave Lake. After finishing, Li Yang began acting out that his girlfriend had left after an argument, staging an almost perfect disappearance play. A year and a half later, in June 2004, the trial of Zhang Hao, who remained in Canada, was officially opened. But the result was extremely frustrating and controversial. It turned out police had used undercover investigation methods to get a confession from Zhang Hao. Specifically, Canadian police had several investigators pose as members of a criminal organization to approach and trick Zhang Hao. They told Zhang Hao, "If you want to join our organization, you must honestly tell all the secrets and crimes you're hiding." Hearing this, thinking he was talking to actual gang members, Zhang Hao confessed the entire truth about helping Li Yang hide Zhao Wei's body. Regarding this part, Zhang Hao's defense attorney fought back strongly, arguing that such undercover investigation methods violated the defendant's rights and were illegal, and the court ultimately accepted this argument. In the end, Zhang Hao's confession was not recognized as evidence, and he was released. Thus, the case was once again unreasonably forgotten in people's memory. By 2007, 5 years after the case occurred, Beijing police began reviewing this old case. Finally, an investigation began in China. At this time, Li Yang had changed his name, gotten married, and become the father of 2 children. He was living quietly as an ordinary person, hiding his past. After a long search, Beijing public security was able to arrest Li Yang. In September 2011, Li Yang went to trial in China. This was the first time he was tried for murder. He denied all charges, saying Zhang Hao was lying, and Zhao Wei had left home on the day the incident occurred. He had never seen her. Li Yang hired all of China's top lawyers at that time and claimed the evidence collected in Canada was fake, evidence created by coercive investigation, but ultimately the court didn't side with him. Li Yang was sentenced to life imprisonment and had to pay 1.13 million yuan in compensation to the victim's family. Hearing this news, Zhao Wei's family felt relieved that justice had finally been served. But this joy didn't last long. Li Yang's family immediately appealed. That same year in December, when the appeal trial opened, Li Yang completely changed his attitude. He tearfully confessed with absurd content. He said, "Actually, we were fighting with pillows and I accidentally suffocated my girlfriend to death." That was nonsense. Zhao Wei died from strangulation, but absurdly, this statement was accepted by the court. 3 years after the first trial, in June 2014, Li Yang's charge was changed from intentional murder to manslaughter, and the sentence was drastically reduced to 7 years. At this time, Li Yang had already spent about 5 years from investigation to the appeal trial.
2
Ultimately,
years na lang.
Zhang Hao only had to serve 2 more years in prison and was released in 2016. After being released, he traveled throughout Europe. By 2019, he bought a house in New Zealand and began preparing for a new life. And this is exactly when he created the fake identity. He claimed to be an activist for the Tibetan independence movement and a victim of persecution by the Chinese government. As mentioned at the beginning of the story, he painted himself as someone persecuted politically and filed an asylum application with the New Zealand government, hoping to stay legally. But New Zealand wasn't easily fooled. After thorough investigation, his asylum application was ultimately rejected. And to this day, Li Yang continues to litigate, still stubbornly insisting he's someone persecuted politically, pleading with the New Zealand government to accept him as a refugee. Conversely, Zhao Wei's family, the poor girl who lost her life, still hasn't received a single dollar in compensation from this case. Because when the appeal trial changed the charge from intentional murder to manslaughter, the 170,000 Canadian dollar compensation obligation from the original verdict lost its enforceability and was no longer valid. Zhao Wei's family ultimately decided to give up further appeals after legal experts advised they had no chance of winning. They told the media, "What we really want isn't that compensation money. We just want to receive a sincere apology from those who caused this tragedy to our daughter." The main character in the second case is Elise, a woman with shining blonde hair and sharp, very alluring features from first glance. But in complete contrast to this glamorous appearance, her life had not been easy since childhood. She was born in 1981 in a small, impoverished village in southern Brazil.
Medyo
Having lost her parents
maalat-alat
when she
ang
was very
ating
young,
lugaw.
Elise had to live with her aunt. But her aunt wasn't financially well off either.
Kaya,
So from childhood, Elise had to make her own living to afford life. From waiting tables at restaurants, selling clothes at stores, to working as a factory worker, there was no part-time job she hadn't experienced. Meanwhile, she still tried to study and obtain...
tayo mag-continue ng kape. Wow. Bawas-bawasan ang alat ng kape. Pait gali, pait. Gaano kauran. Ay may bagyo duman. Hanas. Dapat ang hanas. Yaay lang. Yaay lang ang hanas. Saan ba? Manginhas ka ka. Puro sihi. Atel, matakang bagol. Krigit. Ano pwedeng gamitin shampoo para matanggalan dandruff. Kawa ng isda. Parang layo niya to. No? Durukon labhan. Pilak ng basura. Kamusta kamu? Kamusta? Recommend guys. Anong magandang shampoo para matanggal ang dandruff? Makati. O kaya yun. Siya ay matambaka, no? Malamig, guys. Ah, kumusta? Dami, oh. Kuha kaya lahat yun. Daming isda. Comment guys, anong magandang shampoo para sa dandruff, matanggal ang aking dandruff. Nakakainis. Ang dami. Yan. Wow. Napasok yan lahat. Ang dami isda niya. Diba? Tinanggal na nila. Sabit. Yeah, maraming sabit. Dami oh. Batang baka. Wow. Pag amihan, lumalabas ang matang baka. Hello, Alexander. Ayan. Scuttler 2943. Hello, good morning. Hello, I'm calling. Follow me, enter the rain. We're falling through the painful truths again and again. I'm drowning below the shallow water. You took my hand and you pulled me aside. to save me from tears again and again. So mini, 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 mini. Okay, tapos kukuha na tayo ng thank you, thank you, thank you. dating gawi katil mo kanon. Kasi ito nilaban nung Sabado. Martes na ngayon. Sweden province. Kala ni Thailand. Gusto ng taga Thailand. Gusto niya juga. Si Chef. Thank you, Chef. Sila ay tulog na. Aragay, sakit. Sakit akin nga. Ah! Beach photo! Stefan! Stefan, kumusta ka na? Thank you, guys. Thank you. Hi. God bless. May nanood. Bigla. Masakit na naman ang aking tiyan. Yeah. Okay, thank you.